Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
What are you wearing?
A Canadian tuxedo. And I'm a hockey player.
Who are you, Blues fan? We're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!
I screwed it up. Your BlueNote fan report. It is trade deadline day. Yes, that's right. Trade deadline day. And the Blues made a move, but not the move that you think. No, not that move. Nope, they did a minor league move. They kind of moved off Michael Subban for future considerations, basically cash or nothing. Here, you can have them. That was about it. I should have some guests here in a little bit. I know one of them is here now. We'll bring him in. It's your friend and mine, the Chicago maniac himself. It's Windy City. Hey, Windy.
What's up? You guys
are we going to do anything besides trade Malcolm Subban for future considerations? I think we make another small move, but that's about it. I think someone will take Scandella. It's just what we can get for him. And they'll play it around. What do you think about that, Wendy?
There could be still a shot that Buchnevich gets moved. It could be a surprise move, but it could happen. But yeah, I could see Scandella getting moved.
I'm at the point. I don't think Buchnevich. If Buchnevich was going to get moved, I think it would have happened by now, right?
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you look at last year. Both the big moves that he made 3 moves last year, and both the big ones happened like before the trade deadline, right? I think that, and not only that, the teams that were supposed to be in on him have backed off, right? Carolina just picked up Kuznetsov. Colorado made a small trade. The Panthers got Oposko. Penguins and Rangers made a deal. Actually, Rangers made a couple of deals. Pat Maroon got traded from the Wild to Boston. It's just a lot of the teams that were supposed to be in on Buchnevich seem to be falling by the wayside.
Klim Koskin to the San Jose Sharks
from
Detroit.
From the Wild, right? Where was Kostin at?
No, Detroit.
Oh, Detroit. Okay. Yeah.
Detroit.
Wow.
Well, there's trades going on all over the place. There's no doubt about that. It's a great day in hockey.
All right. Well, so far, what's official, we have 6 trades today.
Correct.
Right? That's official. That's what's official. And those trades, we'll go over them here real quick. First trade of the day, the Blues do a minor league deal trade Michael Subban to the Blue Jackets for future considerations. That's normally cash or nothing, you know?
Yeah, it'll be very little.
Yeah, you can have them. Hurricanes acquired Kuznetsov from the Capitals for a 3rd-round pick. That's a mental health
It's
issue
a
or a health
solid
issue?
trade.
Say again.
It's a solid trade that the Hurricanes were able to get Kuznetsov from the Caps, and they barely gave up anything, especially since the Hurricanes are trying to do a cup run.
Well, you pair that with the Gensel trade, which they totally fleeced Pittsburgh on that one. That's great. 2 moves.
Yeah. Next played, Panthers got Opesco from Buffalo for Panthers defenseman Kali Salin and a conditional pick in the 24 draft. The Ducks acquired Ben Myers from the Colorado Avalanche for a 5th-round pick. New York Rangers acquire, I can't even say this name, Chad Ruhwedel. Is that right, Wendy?
Ruhwedel.
Okay. From the Pittsburgh Penguins for a 4th-round pick. And the Minnesota Wild acquire forward Turner Ellison from the New York Rangers for Nick Patan. Now, I did hear that, and I don't see it as an official trade, that Pat Maroon got traded to Boston.
Yeah. He was traded for a 7th-round pick.
7th-round pick? He's still injured, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's still on IR. Right?
Yeah, he's on IR, but you can be traded when you're on IR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, how about the Toffoli trade to the Jets?
He's still out 2-3 weeks. Yeah, Toffoli to the Jets is a big one.
That's a big move for the Jets.
The Jets are setting up for a cup run.
Yes, they are.
It seems like the big trade was yesterday, the Gunsel trade. Anthony Declare wasn't a huge trade.
I would say the Toffoli trade is bigger.
Right, the Toffoli trade, yeah. I'm just trying to look here. I mean, like a few teams are saying that they're kind of done. Other teams in and out. So we'll see. Next 2.5, 3 hours, we'll be online and see what happens. Let's say hi to our people. You got Jason saying hi. Can't believe Patty's gonna play with the rat. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good mix. I bet Pat and
also
fans are happy.
Jack Edwards
Yeah.
called him fat last year.
Say again.
Jack Edwards last year called Pat Maroon. Jack Edwards, the Bruins play-by-play guy, literally called Pat Maroon fat on a broadcast.
Yes, he did.
So see how that is going to go down.
Well, didn't he wore a shirt? During the 2019 playoff run, he wore a shirt saying, "I may be chubby, but I'm effective." Right? He's a character, that's for sure. Ryan Green saying good morning. Yeah, it's 8 a.m. here. Vegas might pull a magic trick today. I don't know. I think that I don't think they have any more rabbits in the hat.
They still have $4 million to play with.
Bush, Crosby.
Buchnevich isn't going anywhere, according to.
I don't think Crosby's is going anywhere.
Crosby, if he gets traded, it's next deadline.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Or over the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that. Giving him a full year with somebody, I could see that. I heard a mock trade of Cole Perfetti and a first for Butchie. I don't think I would. Would you?
That kid Perfetti with Winnipeg is very good.
That's a fleece job.
Yeah.
That would be a robbery. Buchnevich for Cole Perfetti and a first-round pick. That's a fleece job.
Yeah, that you would be robbing the Jets.
You think? Oh, well, the Jets aren't. I don't think the Jets make that trade with the Blues. Anyways.
I don't think so either, because that kid Perfetti, when he is healthy, he is so good.
Yeah,
health is a big issue, though. Edmondson going to Toronto. I thought he wanted to win. I guess not. Toronto's a lot closer than people. Toronto's a lot closer than people think. I really do. They just got to get out of their own way. I think Toronto's biggest issue is goaltending, right?
defense.
No, their biggest issue is their core is a bunch of losers when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, but their defense.
Matthews,
Look at their defense.
Torres, Nylander, and Marner. They are a bunch of losers. It's the worst core ever assembled when it comes to playoff hockey.
But are they losers because they're losers, or are they losers because of what they have on the back end?
It's their mindset, I think.
Giordano,
I honestly think
plus.
it's their mindset.
You know, Giordano, old. Labushkin, he was there already, didn't do nothing.
Well, I mean, regular season hockey and playoff hockey are two different animals.
No question.
I think we all know that.
Absolutely.
That's why I say it like that. In the playoffs, they don't have a playoff mindset.
You have to be in the playoffs to you need to be physical, and you need to have a defensive mindset to go with your offensive power. And if you don't, I mean it's plain and simple. I mean, the big offensive team, the team that wins the playoff is the team that can get the puck through the neutral zone consistently and stop the other team from getting it through the neutral zone.
Which means play defense.
Right? To me, am I right or wrong on that? I'll let you guys kind of go.
Mm-hmm.
You agree with me, Wendy?
Yeah.
Wayne?
Well, absolutely. You have to play defense in the playoffs. You know, I mean, you could score as many goals as you want during the regular season, but if you don't play defense and get timely goals in the playoffs, you're going to be bounced early.
Oh my goodness! Oh, I get some people here. They're tough enough for playoff hockey. I think in the playoffs, if you watch them, their best guys haven't been their best guys. That's true, and I think that goes with what Wendy said about the playoff mentality. It's physical, not a lot of penalties. They aren't physical enough and cry about the no calls. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Who right now, we'll kind of go off this. Who right now is winning trade deadline? This week, who's winning?
Colorado, Winnipeg.
I'm with Florida right now.
Florida's done a nice job.
Carolina,
right. Absolutely. You got really two strong
Florida's
teams
done well.
Right? Who's losing?
Toronto.
New York, the Rangers.
Yep. The Rangers only made one move for Wenberg.
They I think the cap issue is affecting a lot of the.
Yeah, but you see these other teams that are hopping in to help these other, the fruitful teams. They're helping them out because look, they just want draft picks. So here, we'll retain 50% of this salary for you. We'll do this.
Oh, I thought New Jersey got fleeced in that.
The Hawks haven't been one.
Yeah, I thought New Jersey got fleeced in that. They got a fifth round. Was it a fifth or a sixth round pick in that deal for retaining salary? And I'm sorry. How many fifth round picks make the NHL? How
Usually
many fifth round
those
picks?
are types of picks you package.
Yeah, you use them in other trades.
You usually package. Yeah. So, I'm honest. Right now, I've been shocked the Hawks haven't made any moves where they're involved, being like a third team involved to take on salary, because they have the most salary cap space in the league. They can easily do that, take on a couple picks, and then later on flip them with other draft picks. Because
don't you guys have a bunch of draft picks for the next 3 years, though? Don't you already have a ton of draft picks the next 3 years?
You package them to move into better positions in draft. That's what you do. If you get more fifth or fourth round picks, you can package it with a third or a second round pick. You can move up into a higher position, either into the first round or a higher second round draft pick.
Okay, I get it.
Because you don't get many guys that get traded for $1 at trade deadline. Remember that trade? and then he went on to win 4 cups.
Who was that?
Chris Draper.
Oh, I don't remember that. I was probably active duty when that happened.
Yeah, they traded him to Detroit years ago for $1. And then he went on to win 4 Stanley Cups. I mean,
let's see. We got any? Okay, the Trifoli to the Jets is now official. Right, Costin to the Sharks is official. So those are the two. Since we've come on, those are the 2 trades that have gone official with NHL. And to me, I'm calling it official once it posts on their page, their deadline page.
Their page.
Yeah. Right. Once they put the story up, then you know it's official.
I would say it's official once the team announced it, and that trade was announced like an hour ago.
Which one?
Toffoli.
Toffoli?
Yeah, well over an hour ago. I mean, the Gunsel trade, that was big. Carolina,
well, you got to remember, just because a trade announces the team doesn't make it official. Ask the Knights.
Well, that was a little different, though, with Dodonov.
Right? Yeah, that was different.
You know, because the NHL got involved on that the whole night. You know, like when you're just making a quick trade here or there with today, I mean, I don't think you're going to see anything get shot down. I mean, but I guess anything is possible because.
Well, actually, when was that trade? The Blackhawks trade, was that yesterday?
Yeah,
I just saw it flash on the board.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Okay.
And I still expect to see Tyler Johnson moved from the Hawks.
I think Tyler Johnson and Colin Blackwell are likely to get moved, but
I would love to see Seth Jones get moved, but you know
it won't happen. No one's going to take that.
Nobody's going to take on that deal, right?
I'm okay with Steph Jones being on the team because right now we can use his defense. With Vlasic, yes, Vlasic's developed into a pretty good second defenseman on the team this year. But otherwise, if they don't have like a player like Jones on the books, they are way under the cap floor, and they will be in a position where they have to find another albatross of a contract to put onto the roster.
Yeah. I hate to run it back for a second. You know, another team that I think has done pretty darn well is the Oilers. The Oilers have, they've done a pretty good job also at the deadline. You know, Henry, Carrick. So the West is going to be a tough conference to come out of.
Yeah, West is
doing their mock
really
draft
good club
right now.
I'd say the Stanley Cup favorite is in the West right now.
I think it's Winnipeg.
Yeah, Winnipeg.
I like Winnipeg.
Winnipeg, Dallas, and then Edmonton for me are the top 3. Right? Probably not in that order though. I think I would go Dallas, Winnipeg, Edmonton.
So TSN's doing a mock draft right now.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see what they have going on in that mock draft.
On the website or on the channel?
TSN. On the channel.
Oh, okay.
I'm watching the ESPN Plus stream.
Okay.
I've got Hockey Central on Sports, you know, the Sports Network up in Canada.
Yeah, NHL. The NHL
it's on
network
NHL.
has Hockey Central on. Yeah.
Yeah.
On ESPN, it's the TSN broadcasts.
Right.
On ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I like using
TSN is a great site.
What?
That TSN is a great site for hockey.
Oh yeah.
They're fantastic.
Man, if the Hawks end up with the first overall pick again this year,
well, chaos will ensue.
Yeah.
if the Hawks end up with the first overall pick again this year, there will be the villagers will be storming the
They were
NHL
already doing
offices
that last year.
with pitchforks and torches.
Bettman will be
I mean,
hanging off the 34th
we're the
window
worst
floor.
team in the NHL. So if we get the first overall pick, we do have the highest odds to get it.
I get that. I get it. But again, how many times has that team with the highest overall chances got it? Not as many. I mean,
I forgot Tampa Bay's out of a playoff spot.
No, they're still in right now. They're the
Are they?
number 8. Yeah, they're the number 8 team. But they're only 2 points ahead of the Islanders now.
Yeah.
Like the Islanders have
It's
come
because
on.
on TSN they have them ranked 16 out of 32 teams in the league.
Right.
They are doing it by point percentage.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, they've only got 18 games left, and everybody in front of them and behind them have a 2-game,
Have games in hand, yeah.
in hand on them. Yes. So they are definitely in trouble. And really, we all know how much salary cap hell they're in. So
If Tampa drops to 16 and misses the playoffs, I will be happy because that's another mid-round, first-round pick for the Hawks. It's a high, at least a third overall pick right now as it sits, and 16th overall pick. That's great for them in the draft.
Well, I don't think a lot of people understand how draft seeding works once a team gets into the playoffs, and that has a lot.
Yeah, I know.
That affects. See, here's the thing. For example, when you're talking about, let's say that Tampa gets in with that pick, with where they're at right now, the second wild card in the
East.
In the East. They've got
I'm aware how
points?
it works. I'm talking about if they miss.
Yeah. Well, even if they make it where they're at right now, unless they make it to the third round, you get the 17th pick anyways, or the 18th pick. No, 17th.
I know.
17th. You get the 17th
I'm aware
pick.
because.
Okay, I know you are, but a lot of
I'm
people.
aware. I'm just saying.
I mean, what's the difference between the 16th and the 17th pick, though?
What?
How much of a big difference is there between the 16th and the?
It's worth having the 16th pick in this draft more than the 17th pick because this draft isn't as deep as drafts in the past.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
Fair enough, my friend. Fair enough.
TSN's mock lottery ended up having the Hawks drop to third overall.
Third overall. Who'd they
And
have
having Ottawa winning a draft lottery position.
What a team in disarray there. Oh, God.
Yeah.
They just can't get it right. You know, you might as well just blow it up, get rid of everybody.
Didn't they just change owners in Ottawa?
Well, the other owner died. So,
yeah.
And then they just gave Steve Staios his first GM job.
Yeah,
he's first year GM.
It's gonna take a little bit of time. I mean, they're not as much disarray as Buffalo is. But
yeah,
Buffalo,
but you know what? At least Buffalo. Look at their defensive corps now. Their defense, if they can get a little bit, some of those forwards get going, and if they can, bring a couple of these youngsters up, their goaltending is not that bad. I don't know if Granato's the guy to take them to the next step, but they've got really good defense.
They have good deep. They have really bad ownership, really bad front office, and that. I think the front office affects a team a lot more than people understand, and not just in what moves the GM makes, but again, these NHL guys, it's not like in the 70s and 80s where they hated each other. They're all friends, right? They're all
Right.
friends, and they talk to each other. When there's bad ownership, they guys know about it, and a guy doesn't want to go to that. He doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want
Well,
to
and
deal
they're
with bad
talking,
ownership. He doesn't want to deal with bad leadership. I know I don't.
the Pagulas own the Bills too, and they're starting to talk about now how the Bills, so I mean, hey,
All right. So
one
that's
thing leads to another, right?
yeah. So to me, that's the biggest. That I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, Wendy. You follow this a little bit better than I do some. But do you think that the ownership affects a team positively or negatively, or how does it affect the team, especially with trade deadlines and with you know what I'd like to see without names, I'd like to see how many, what teams are on what players, or what teams are on players no trade list. You know what I mean? You don't have to put out the player's name, but put out like Buffalo Bills are on 122 no trade lists, or that. I would love to see that.
Okay. So yeah, nation, right. So you're going league wide.
Yeah, league wide.
Yeah.
I would love to see what teams are on players no trade lists.
Right. Who they want to play for, who they don't want to play for.
Yeah. And you don't, because I know they don't want to put that out. I know that does not get put out. I know it's very, very private, and I get that. But I would love to see it in a redacted version. Like, this team is on this many players no trade. This team is on this many players, and give a sense, right? One of the guys that was on, can't remember if it was NHL Network or TSN. He was a former GM, and he talked about the Canadian kids not wanting to play in Canada, right? Like their no trade list was almost always the Canadian teams.
Well, that's because they're taxed so heavily up there.
Yeah. Oh, I know that's some of it, but
taxed so heavily in Canada, it's unbelievable. I mean, but you want to talk about bad ownership. Here's a prime example. Tepper in Carolina with the Panthers in the NFL. How'd you like to play for that guy?
yeah.
I mean, throwing drinks on fans, firing your coach 10 games into the season on the first year of a deal. I mean, you wanted Bryce Young so bad. But then when, everything goes sideways, it's fire, 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 get rid of, let's throw drinks on fans.
No, I get it. That's, to me, I'm trying. You guys keeping a track if something pops up?
Oh yeah.
Are we still caught up with everything right now?
So far.
We caught up, Windalicious?
Yeah, there hasn't been any talk, move in the last 40 minutes. Oh, wait. Max Pacioretty has been presented with the opportunity to waive his no movement clause to the Rangers. It doesn't sound like the trade a trade has been made yet. So we'll see what happens there.
That's not a bad move there.
It's a bad move. They don't need him. He's not the type of player they need in New York. Pacioretty is so injury prone at this point in his career. He's not going to stay healthy for a playoff run.
But they've lost so many guys like Wheeler and Cheadle.
Yeah, he's basically another Wheeler.
And he is the UFA at the end of the year. So, I mean, if you give up a 7th round pick for him, what are you really giving up?
Yeah.
Well, here's to me. Wendy, what are you predicting? What do you think the salary cap's going to do next season?
2.5 mil.
You think it's only going to go up 2.5 million?
I could see it.
What about you, Wayne?
I was thinking in the $4 to $5 million range.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one because that's the number that was thrown around. That's the number that the Bettman has thrown around at every league meeting so far.
And I think a lot of teams are really hoping that happens because there's been so many moves. I mean, you wait till next year, teams are going to have to get rid of so many guys. Like right now, Toronto, for instance, they've got a lot of shuffling up of the cards to do once this season is over. Vegas is going to
Toronto, you know what Toronto's going to end up trading for next year? If the cap doesn't take, even if the cap takes a $5 million jump, I think they're going to end up trading for LTIR contracts. Right? Because it's the only way that they're going to get under the cap is if they put that money on LTIR.
The question is, what are they giving away though? Then,
yeah,
and
you know what?
Players.
Who was it? A couple of years ago, Tampa did that, and they just gave away draft picks.
Yeah.
Right? Tampa needed LTIR stuff.
Hour 30 minutes till trade deadline, and
30 minutes? I thought we're an hour and
90
30 minutes.
90 minutes.
I said an hour 30 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We only heard 30.
Yeah, we only heard 30. So I wasn't the only one that only heard 30. And I didn't put my ears in today. I think if you don't, when that hour mark hits, if you don't see a couple more moves between now and then, I think the final hour might be dead.
No, you usually see the trades that come in after post-trade deadline clock hits, and it's usually like a bunch of trades that hit at once with like 2 minutes remaining. All GMs are on the phone trying to just get their trades to go through. If they're on the phone, the trades go through either way if the deadline passes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we'll probably hear some trades after 3:00 Eastern time.
Yeah, that's why we're going to stay on a little bit after to kind of look at who did what. So there's still so the big ones they just shown them. They still have Pavel Buchnevich on that board. I can't see. I seen this tweet. They're putting the tweet up from Rutherford. All it takes is one call, but right now he doesn't see Buchnevich getting moved. I just don't. I've said this before. I think that you're striking at the wrong time because teams are going to want you to retain salary, and you're going to have to retain it for the life of the contract. That means you're not knocking off. You're only knocking off $2.5 million off next year's cap. And that's not enough to I'm going to say something about the Blues. And maybe I'm totally fucking nuts or crazy or out there. This team last year was a horrible team and was the 10th worst team in the league. This year, they are sitting on the cusp of a playoff spot. Whether or not they make it, they're right there in that middle. When you're in that middle, when you're in that 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14 spot, to me, you're one or two players from getting better, not 4 or 5 players from getting better.
But are you good enough to go on a cup run?
Say again?
All right, but are they good enough to go on a cup run if they only need that 1 or 2 players to make the playoffs?
Not a cup run yet, but you have guys coming up that could put you there. Right? I
said this last night.
Yeah.
I said this last night. St. Louis is a team where at this point in their franchise, they need to rebuild or retool. If they don't, they are going to be in this middle for years, and they will be one of the more incompetent franchises in the league because they aren't really improving. They aren't really getting much to build for a future. The Blues are in the state of limbo. If they fire Armstrong at the end of the year, which could happen because they're going to have a coaching change.
I agree.
that will be where you start seeing what direction St. Louis goes in. I think they're going in a retool.
I could see, but I think the retool is happening. I think that you look at, they have 5 right now. They were listed the number 1 team with prospects, right? The Hockey News had them ranked number 1, best farm system, best guys in the system. Those guys are coming up in the next year to 2 years. That's your retool right there in my eyes. That's it. Right?
But they're unproven at the NHL level. That's the only thing.
Say again? You guys walked over each other.
Sorry. They're unproven at the NHL level. They may be good prospects, but what are they going to do when they go to the next level, the NHL?
That's true, but also, that's still part of, to me, that's part of the retool. You just can't, you can't sit
You'll
there
have to move some of.
Yeah, but the thing is, a retool isn't prospects, because you've already got those prospects in your system, number 1. Number 2, a retool is a team that's maybe 1 or 2 veterans away, or 1 or 2 good players from getting back into competition. Every year, what is there? Maybe 6, 7 teams that can compete for the cup. There's not 30 teams every year that's going to have a chance at winning the cup. There's only, and it's like Guy said, they've been in a retool for a year or 2. I love all the prospects and everything, but if you go back over the last, 8 or 10 years, when people come up with the top prospect pool and who has the top prospects, very few of them teams end up having great Stanley Cup success. A couple years ago, it was the Buffalo Sabres. Have they competed for a playoff spot? Are they a great team? I love the prospects, but I don't think you can look at that and go, well, a year or 2 from now, these prospects are going to be up and we're going to make the playoffs.
Buffalo's a bad example because they've got a bad front office, and that trickles down, and that affects that team more. That affects that team more than the players. They've got the guys. They're my team. That's my surprise negative team this year. They should have been good. They should have been playing for that division instead of being where they're at.
No, no. Buffalo's not good enough to win that division.
I said earlier, Granado's not the guy.
They should have been in the top 3 in that division.
Here's the thing. The thing is that I'm using Buffalo just as an example. Go back to the last 10 years. The Bruins in the last 5 or 6, 7 years have said that they've got a great prospects pool. Yes, they went to the Cup against the Blues, and yes, they've had great season success, but have they had great playoff success since going to the Cup with the Blues? No. You can't, as a GM, you have to go in and look and go, okay, we've got these prospects. We want to pencil these guys in, but we've also got to try to bring in other guys to make it good, make the lineup good in the meantime, and help grow these guys. Because for everything that Bolduc and Dvorsky and Dean and all these other guys have promised, it really means nothing, because there's very few teams that live in a retool or rebuild by prospects. I think you have to have a balance of everything. And if Armstrong looks ahead and says, well, in 2 years, Dvorsky and Dean and Bolduc and all these guys are going to be, part of our top 6 or part of our top 9, and we can definitely pencil them in, you can't do that.
Who do you bring in, though? Who do you bring in to St. Louis to take this team to that next level, to take this team to challenging for the division? Because there really are only, be honest, I'm sorry, you look at them, they're 1 or 2 spots away from challenging for this division. 1 or 2 players away from challenging for this division.
Well, there's a lot of teams out there that can say that, though. There's a lot of teams that are 2nd, 3rd, 4th in their division that if they just had 1 or 2 players, they could compete. It's such a level playing field, and I do agree with you. They're not far from competing, but they are far, far from competing from a Stanley Cup.
Do you want to be viewed as the Minnesota Wild or Nashville Predators, who are always contempt with being a fledgling middle of the pack team? That's how those two teams run their organizations. They don't run their organizations to compete truly for a Stanley Cup.
Well, and in all honesty, let's look at Carolina. What have they done up till this year? Waddle finally made a move, made two good moves. Gunsel, Kuznetsov. I mean, prior to this year, they've been good in the regular season and have fallen flat on their face come playoff time.
A lot of teams have done that, though. A lot of teams have done that.
I mean, Winnipeg's the same way. And now this year they went and they made a move. They made two really good moves. I mean, the question is, the $1 million question, which of the teams that made the big moves that these players are going to gel the best and actually, go on a big run?
I honestly know. In fact, I've the majority of big moves don't work. They don't work, right? And in fact, a lot of times when a team that's there goes out and pulls one of these big guys in, it upsets the chemistry of the team heavily, and you see it year after year after year. That's why I'm not a big thing on these trades. That's why I'm not a fan of them, because I think for the most part they don't work.
Well, before we get any further, I want to ask just how upset Guy is that we traded Subban away. I know everybody's upset about that. There was a bunch of fans at the beginning of the year saying he was going to compete against Bennington.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's funny that was the Blues transaction today.
There's already picketing outside of Enterprise Arena.
I'm shocked there's not a statue of Subban out there. I mean,
Malcolm Subban banner in the Subban getting the banner in the rafters.
Right? I mean, the Blues, when it comes to goaltending, the Blues have, for prospects and goaltending, they're very, very strong, right? They're extremely strong.
Top.
Say again?
The Blues goalie prospects aren't highly ranked prospects in the NHL.
I disagree with that, because look at what TSN just said about
No, it is. That's
the
how
Hockey News.
Most other outlets have viewed St. Louis's goaltending prospects not as high caliber prospects. The Hockey News didn't even rank them that high for goaltending prospects.
Well, I as a goalie, I don't ever pay attention to that, because a great example of that, Nick, is that, and I'm sure you'll agree. Do you remember when Carter Hart was coming up? Everybody said Carter was going to be the next Brodeur. He's going to take the Flyers to the promised land. He's the top rated prospect, and I know he's having legal issues, but even without his legal issues, can you honestly say that Carter Hart, after being the top prospect for 2 or 3 years, and the Flyers didn't want to bring him up, can you honestly say he's the top goalie in the league? No. A lot of goaltenders that are good goalies come out to be very good goalies in the NHL, because a lot of times it's not their skill set. It's like Grant Fuhr says, every goalie in the NHL, there's a reason why he's there. They're good goalies, even if they only play 15 games a season. They're good goalies. The difference between a regular goalie in the NHL and a guy that ends up like Brodeur, Fuhr, Waugh, Sawchuk, Plant, all those guys, it's between the ears. It's a brain game as a goaltender. And a lot of times, and I'll agree with Guy. A lot of times when people put out these prospect polls about goalies, a lot of times those goalies they have ranked 10th or 15th can end up being pretty good goalies. And a lot of times those top 5 guys, you never hear from them. I'm not saying the Blues have to
find that article that they had out there with ranking the team's prospects. I'm trying to find it.
Well, let me ask you this, guy, Wendy, Lance. Out of the guys that are left, though, the bigger names on the board, like Bushnevich, I don't think he's going anywhere. Chikrin, Vetrano, Dumba, Jake Allen, Linus Olmark for goaltenders, Dowd. Which of these guys are going to get moved? I think we've all come to the realization, at least so far, we don't think Bushnevich is going anywhere.
Yeah,
Dennis
Jake Allen will get
Gurianov.
moved. Too many teams want goaltending.
I mean,
Dennis
did Allmark
Gurianov to the Flyers for Wade Allison. Whoever Wade Allison is.
Yeah, I think Montreal has been trying now for 3 or 4 months to trade Jake Allen, and nobody's interested in him.
Jake Allen
And
to the New Jersey Devils for a second-round pick.
Yeah.
Half 50% retained on Jake Allen.
Jake Allen just got traded to the Devils.
Right. Yep. Well, here
for a third rounder.
Yeah, without I would say
third-round pick that could be a second-round pick based on games played.
That's not a bad return for Montreal.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
no, it's not. They're retaining 50% of his contract. That's $1.9 million. Montreal can easily afford doing that.
And Gurianov, I mean, he had that one good year with the Dallas Stars, and I don't know what has happened to him since then. It's like he just fell off the end of the world somewhere.
I'm still wondering what's going on with Tyler Johnson and Colin Blackwell.
You mean Johansson?
Because Blackhawks practice lines today were Foligno, Bedard, Kurashev, second line Blackwell, Dickinson, Anderson, third line Sanford, Tyler Johnson, Radish, fourth line Donato, Entwistle, and Reese Johnson. Blackwell and Tyler Johnson are the likely two to get moved out of Chicago, but the fact that they're showing up on their lines for practice today makes me wonder if they're even getting moved.
Possible. I mean, it kind of makes sense. Yesterday and today, you kind of got to pay attention to who's practicing and who's not, and what lines they're on. That has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to see a bunch of moves coming into place here in the next 45 minutes to an hour. So.
Okay, so it's clear. Consumer selling it off with amazing 5G coverage, backed up by incredible service. That wouldn't be much.
And then you look at, Carolina.
1 hour, 10 minutes.
They put a bunch of guys on waivers today after making all those moves too. Carolina did. Like, I don't think anybody will pick them up. But,
yeah.
You know, D'Angelo, Lemieux, Ranta all got put on waivers again. I mean, does somebody pick them up? Probably not.
I could see the Hawks maybe pick up Ranta and just send Soderblom to Rockford.
Right. And Dumba, that guy, he's an okay defenseman, and he could help somebody. He's getting long in the tooth, but he's okay for maybe another run with somebody. I mean, I'm kind of surprised he hasn't been moved. And Vetrano as well. You know, the right winger out west with Anaheim. But
I'll be right back, guys. I got to use the restroom. You guys talk amongst yourself. I'll be right back.
Chris Shockey says that Blay is going to spend the rest of the year in press box or Springfield unless an injury happens. Yeah. Bringing Blay back was dumb by Armstrong to cave into Berube. to bring him back.
Eric Johnson to Philadelphia.
What did you say, Wendy?
Eric Johnson just traded to Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah, see,
Philadelphia is a weird team this year.
well, and they're still in the playoff mix.
Yeah.
Philadelphia. You know, they weren't even supposed to be there. Then I think when everything went down with the Hart deal, you know, with the London crap, I think a lot of people thought they would, you know, cave, and they've actually still played pretty decent hockey.
Yeah.
Going forward, we'll have to see what happens. But and then now here's a question for you, gentlemen. All year it's pretty much been Kucherov for the MVP, and now McKinnon and McDavid are just lighting it up lately. Kucherov has fallen off a little, not a whole lot. What happens with that going down the stretch?
I still see it's been McKinnon or Kucherov all season. I honestly would take McKinnon because without McKinnon, the Avalanche do not make playoffs. That team, without him, he's been the true MVP of the league, and what he's done, McKinnon deserves to win the Hart Trophy this year.
You could probably say the same for Kucherov, though. So, you know, I mean,
Tampa Bay could still miss the playoffs.
Yeah, they still could. There's no question.
I'm trying to catch up on our things here.
Well, I think the only thing you missed while you were gone was Wendy said who went to Philly? Eric Johnson.
Eric Johnson to the Philadelphia Flyers.
From Buffalo?
Yeah.
That's a interesting trade.
I mean, well, they got to move him somewhere. They got, you know, so many defensemen in Buffalo now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he like that's two guys that just got traded. The last two guys to get traded are guys that I don't think are playing in the league next year. Right?
You're probably right there.
I think both of them are at that retirement point. More Johnson than
Jake
Allen.
Played this year.
Say again?
I think Allen has
I was
year
surprised.
in him.
Sorry.
Hold on, you guys are walking over.
Yeah,
Wendy,
sorry. Yeah.
go first, bud.
I think Allen has another year in him, so he probably signs a 1-year deal as a backup somewhere.
Possible, but I think Johnson's done. Johnson's got to be 38 or 39. I mean, he came into the league in 2006. Right? Am I right or wrong on that?
35. 35.
See if I can pull it up here real quick.
4th round draft pick, David, 24 goes the other way. All right, thank you so much again.
35.
35?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he feels like an old 35.
I was going to say he's an old 35, and I thought he would retire after the end of last year. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
he turns 36 on the 21st.
Yeah, so see, and I just feel like, and Allen's probably just a little younger than that, 34, I think.
No, he's 35 or 36. I want to put my opinion in on the Penguins.
Jake Allen's 33. I didn't realize he had the same birthday as me. Yeah.
Jake's 33? Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Lance.
That's all right. I think Nick might agree with me. I don't know about Wayne and you guy. I'm sorry, Kyle Dubas is an idiot. He's got aging
Oh, yeah.
stars that aren't gonna get him another cup win, and guys like Letang, Malkin, and Crosby. They're all 36, 37 years old. They're not going to win another cup with those guys. So instead of trading off one of those assets where you could probably get a lot from a team for those guys, because take another run for a year or two, instead, what does he do? He trades Gensel, who is his best player. Arguably, I think Gensel is the second best player on that team behind Crosby. I know he was kind of in a cap issue, but there comes a time when your three fledgling stars who used to be great, and I know Crosby's been very good this year, but look at how quickly Ovechkin dropped. That can happen to Crosby too. And they're on borrowed time. And I just don't understand. And I know the people across the league would have a fit, but you've got to start moving those guys. You have to, when they have value. 2 years from now, when they're not anywhere near great players, you're not going to get much for them. You're just not going to. A 38-year-old Crosby maybe could get you a second if a team was desperate at first, if that was a missing piece and they didn't want him to be their number one center. But Dubas, got praise and for the Maple Leafs, and he got hate, and I think he did a terrible job with the Leafs. He caved in when he didn't have to with Matthews. He could have waited a little bit, Matthews' first contract. And the same way with Marner and Nylander with their second contracts, I believe. He's not a good GM. And, guys, I'm not going to put, Alex Steen in the same class as Malkin and Letang and Crosby. But they held on to him way too long with the Blues. And it happens time and time again with some of these franchises. Like, I think Kane and Taves, and I love what Kane's doing this year, but I think Chicago should have moved on from them a year or two earlier. And I think they could have got a lot more for them. And they may be even better. They may have made the playoffs next year or this year. You've got to start moving these old so-called what used to be stars out of your team and start rebuilding. And I just think if the Penguins till next year, you're just another year down, and you've got to start trading some of these aging stars.
I agree with you, Lance, 100%.
We talked about this a little bit before you came on, Lance. I think Crosby goes in the off season, right? Crosby is royalty. Crosby is in that upper echelon of, he's gonna. They can't trade Crosby until Crosby says he wants to be traded, and he's gonna go to the team Crosby wants to go to, right?
Well, my honest opinion is, fans say he can't be traded. Some of the greatest players ever have been traded.
Look how many times player of all time was traded.
Yeah, Brett Hull, Gordie Howe, Wayne Gretzky.
Brett Hull, well, actually, he was traded. I almost.
Yeah, I mean, those guys get traded, and here's what I think is going to happen. I think Dubas is going to.
On Hull. When Hull was traded, he wasn't any. He was a prospect, and he was a 6th-round draft pick.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that I think Dubas is going to be an idiot, and he's going to hang on to Crosby as long as Crosby is there and able to play, and he's going to miss an opportunity to get some really good picks before the guy falls off the radar.
He has a full no movement clause.
Right, that's the question. What are these guys' contracts look like?
Okay, yeah, but I know he does, but here's the thing. Crosby's supposed to be this great leader, this great guy that cares for the Penguins. You trying to tell me if Dubas goes to him and says, Sid, we love what you've done for us. You're one of the greatest, the top 20 players, top 15 players of all time. But we really need to trade you so that the team can move on. I don't think Crosby says no to that as long as it's a decent team. And I don't think they'd have any problems finding a decent team. I really don't.
I think what happens with Crosby was sometime during the season, the GM went to him and said, hey, not saying it's going to happen, but in case, or someone call, can you give me a list of teams that you would possibly waive your no trade clause to? And I'm almost certain that happened. And I
No,
think
it didn't happen.
it has to
Crosby.
happen. You can't bring that player. Be honest. I'll say this, Lance, because this is the bullshit. If it doesn't happen, then this is how stupid a GM is. The shit that happened with Krug is because without a GM talking to him first to find out where he might go, that shit came out, and that destroyed Krug's relationship with the Blues.
Yeah, I
If a
understand that, but
GM
what I'm saying is Dubas never has done that with Crosby. He wants to hold on to
I'd
him.
almost guarantee you he did it this year.
Nope.
I'd almost guarantee you he did it this
Nope.
year.
Well, we all know where he wants to play. He wants to go play with his buddy McKinnon.
There's no way Colorado could afford him. That's the other thing. Nobody can afford him.
And I mean, and then I listened to something that Lance said there, because I read a graphic earlier today.
What?
Colorado could afford Crosby. Colorado could afford Crosby if they got a third team involved. Crosby's making $8.7 million on the cap. If he was traded to another team, 50% retained, he could get moved to Colorado immediately.
So
they
doing
have the
it
$4
to where
million
Colorado only
to
plays
it.
25% of his contract.
Yeah.
So I was reading
But
a graphic.
here's what I have to say. I agree with Lance that Dubas is a spineless GM. He doesn't have the bones to actually make hard decisions.
Yep.
But here's another thing. Pittsburgh had a previous GM re-sign Malkin and LeKing to those albatrosses of contracts when I even said they should just let them walk in free agency because they're going to fall off. But then Dubas takes over this off season and he doubled down by trading for Erik Karlsson, and that adds to the age of that franchise of being one of the oldest team in the NHL.
Well, they're
it
the
doesn't
oldest
help.
ever in
They
the
doubled
NHL.
down too hard on old. Yeah, they doubled down on old players that were once great in the league, and now you have Crosby in a position where he's still putting up points, could get you maybe a mid first round pick and maybe a second round pick if you traded him today, but they won't. Pittsburgh, at this point, it just sounds like they're going to try and do everything to keep him, even though the right thing probably is let Crosby go to a different team and let him continue to compete for a Stanley Cup. Dubas will try everything to keep Crosby around. He hasn't done the right thing by firing Mike Sullivan yet, who probably should have been fired 2 years ago.
Yep.
The Penguins are in a position where the Blackhawks were for years. They are in limbo. They just want to make a playoff spot to maybe catch fire in the Flame to go into a cup run and rejuvenize the legacy of great players. The Hawks were trying to do that for years with Taves and Kane until Kyle Davidson took over as GM 2 years ago, said we're going into a rebuild. Kane and will come to, Taves and Kane will have to come to us to decide if they want to be moved or not. We'll let them do that decision because they have that no movement clause in their contract to let them actually still have their power to say trade me or not, or just let them walk in free agency. That's how it went with the Blackhawks. And I get it. It was 2 years too
late
for the Hawks to rebuild, but at least they're now in a rebuild and they actually have a future put together for what they want to do.
Wayne, you were going to talk about a graph that you read?
Well, I read a graphic earlier today that the Pittsburgh Penguins core right now, and as an overall whole as a team, is the oldest team to ever be in the NHL at 30.95 years of age. Now, so what you were saying, Lance, I mean, in all honesty, you think about this, I agree with you 100%. And they should be getting rid of these guys. Malkin. I mean, I don't know why they went after Carlson. Letang. I mean, all these guys need to be moved. Are they
Jeff Carter? Don't forget about Jeff Carter.
Jeff Carter. I mean, you got multiple guys over there that are, and if you got rid of some of those guys, then you could have very well hung on to your best player, which was Jake Guentzel.
I don't think they thought they could re-sign Guentzel.
Well, they couldn't because they couldn't. They couldn't.
Money, that's why.
Yeah, they couldn't because of their other old guy contracts.
Yeah.
Andrew Peak to Boston for Zabrell.
Yeah.
Andrew Peak, defenseman for Jacob Zaboni.
It's basically an AHL move.
Boston's been busy, Pat Maroon and now him.
Yeah, veteran leadership.
Yeah, Pat Maroon gets to be reunited with his good friend and Mr. Jack Edwards. You called him fat last year. Oh, Boris Kachuk has been claimed by the Ottawa Senators off the waivers.
Yeah, I heard that.
So the Blackhawks has lost Boris Kachuk for free to the Senators.
Well, when you waive a guy, that's the chances.
Yeah, I know. But it's okay, I guess, because Kachuk really wasn't much for the Hawks other than being a great penalty killer.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked Ottawa claimed him.
Ottawa, I thought Anaheim Anaheim claimed somebody.
No, Ottawa. Ottawa claimed Boris Kachuk.
Oh no, there was another guy. I seen something over Twitter that got claimed by hold on. Oh my goodness, where am I at here? Why can't I find what I want to find when I want to find it?
Oh, I guess Kevin Korchinski could change his number now.
Here we go. Baumfrot was claimed by Florida. Ottawa claimed Kachuk. And Legenson was claimed by Anaheim. And then everybody else cleared. Right? Everybody, there was like 6 or 7 guys that got waived yesterday.
50 minutes, I think.
So those are the 3 claims. There were 3 claims today. That's rare, isn't it? You get that many guys claimed in one day, right?
Well, and that's probably just because of the time frame.
Yeah. But it's rare to get guys claimed to begin with. I've seen more guys claimed this year than I can remember in a long time. Right?
I mean, the Hawks had to play multiple players this year because
didn't Sanford get claimed? Zach Sanford got claimed by Chicago earlier this year.
Yeah,
right?
The Hawks had to claim multiple players this year on waivers because of all the injuries we've had. We claimed Sanford, Megna, Rum Piglet was a trade. There were several players that we claimed on waivers because of all the injuries we had.
Yeah, I mean, it's players don't get claimed often. That's all I'm saying. And this year,
I'm shocked the Hawks just didn't put Sanford in
the Ice Hogs. Well, didn't they trade him? No, he's with the Ice Hogs
Yeah,
now, right?
I'm
Didn't
shocked he hasn't been sent down to the Ice Hawks yet.
They waived him.
He's
But he
still
hasn't
up
been
with the
sent down?
Blackhawks.
Oh, they waived him. He cleared
Yeah,
waivers,
he's
but
been up with the
they didn't
Hawks.
move him. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how it happened.
Now Marshall,
So they could still send him
Maroon is
down in
still
the next
injured.
couple
Maroon's
of days.
still a week to 2 weeks before he comes back, right? From back surgery. Anybody know?
For who?
Maroon.
2 to 3.
Yeah, he's a couple weeks.
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks for Maroon.
Yeah. So that's a
2 to
depth
3
move for a
weeks.
playoff run there. That's what that is. Right. And coming back from back surgery, there's no guarantee that he's going to be able to play at all. I mean, look at Edmonton, or not Edmonton, Parayko. I mean, it took him 2 years to come back from his back surgery. Right? That's and Maroon's older. Maroon's got to be 37 or 38, 37, right?
Yeah, at least 36 or 30. He was drafted in 2007, so.
Yeah, he's got to be up there a little bit. Am I right, Lance?
Yeah, he's 36 or 37, I think.
Right.
So I have 35.
35.
He'll be
Okay.
36 in April. So
What's going on with, I know this is kind of off the board a little bit, but we saw Kuznetsov move today. Is there any chance that Ryan Johansson could move?
Somebody's got their TV a little loud.
Contract guy, sent to the minors, Johansson was traded from the Avs.
Yeah, that's a little better. Thank you.
yeah, I think it was me.
Yeah, I just don't want to pick it up and get a strike.
No,
Have to deal with that.
Yep.
So with 47 minutes left in the trade deadline, what team makes the biggest move between now and the deadline? Start with Lance.
I don't think there's going to be a huge move. Most of the time, by this time, we've already known the huge moves. And a lot of times they'll announce them right after the deadline because they already sent the deals to the league office and they'll get announced right after the deadline or right around it. I really don't see. I know a lot of people are thinking Jacob Chychrun's going to be traded. Of course, every year the Blues are going to be getting him or some other team's going to be getting him. Ottawa actually would like to re-sign him. I don't know if they're going to eventually, but I don't see any huge moves, and I might be wrong, unless somebody comes to Armstrong and just lays down and gives him a buttload of stuff for Buchnevich. Otherwise, Buchnevich is here, at least until the trade deadline of next year.
Yeah, well, yeah, or until his contract runs out.
Or
what
until
about
the
you there,
draft.
Wendy?
What?
Who do you think makes a move between now? What team makes the biggest move between now and the end of the deadline?
Probably, I really don't see many big moves. I think they're just going to be moves that are depth at this point.
What about you there, Wayne?
Unless the Hawks move out Tyler Johnson.
What about you, Wayne?
I think I'm in pretty much agreement with Lance and Wendy. I think unless somebody, because really the only big names you got left is Buchnevich. He's the biggest name left out there. You got Riley Smith. I mean, it's going to take something huge, obviously, for them to move Buchnevich. All the moves that are being made now are just, it's moves for depth. And I'm surprised only one goaltender's been moved though today.
See, that's where my surprise. That's where I'm. I think Colorado Gibson could be had, and Colorado isn't totally sold on their goaltending tandem. I
They
could see
can't be.
Colorado making a move with Anaheim for a goal for Gibson, and Gibson's got term too.
Well,
That's the
everybody
thing.
was saying how they needed goaltending help. All these
Yeah.
contenders, and there's been one move, and it's not a big move for Allen.
Yeah, and
I
it's
mean,
not really to a contender.
Yeah, right, because they've traded away some of their, parts. So all the big moves, they're gone.
I got something to show you, Wendy. I didn't think I was going to show this, but I'll show it now after that comment. Let's see if I can find it here real quick. Give me a moment. Here it is. This is how much I love you, Wendy. Okay. This is for you, Wendy.
The hell is that?
When they thought they were going to get them in the lottery.
Some crazy ass Blues fans. Oh, I knew we had no chance at the lottery. Oh my goodness.
Hey, but I will say this: he's not the front runner for the. And I'm a Hawks fan, but he's not the front runner for the Calder anymore. I believe that's Brock Favors, to lose now.
I don't think Faber gets it because he hasn't done much in the last 3 weeks since Bedard came back. He just keeps his plus minus in the plus, which doesn't really do much otherwise. Connor Bedard, it's still Connor Bedard's trophy to win. He's still been putting up points on a offensively inept Blackhawks team.
Sure. I just, that's just my opinion. And I'm
I as much as I hate to say it, I think Wendy's right. I do think that it's even, and you look at his numbers, he's still leading or tied for the goal and points lead, and he missed 6 weeks?
Yeah, 6 weeks. Yeah.
He missed
so
5.5 weeks. He
Say
missed 5.5 weeks, kept the scoring lead for all rookies, and now he's up by. He leads all rookies now by 8 points.
Yeah.
And he was able to hold his scoring lead in the entire time he missed in 5.5 weeks.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, Anthony. We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. We talked about Subban getting traded. Not a big deal. I mean, when you're talking future considerations, that's basically one of two things. It's either cash or it's a here you go. Right? That's it. It's not like Major League Baseball. Right? In Major League Baseball where you get the player to be named later, they have a certain amount of time when they have to name that player. There's a limit on that. I think it's 3 months or 6 months or a year. It's one of those three. But within that time period, they have to come to an agreement on a player or it goes to arbitration. Right? So when future considerations, because you never hear about what the future considerations are. Right? You never hear it. So it's basically sometimes there's some cash involved or it's just here you go. Right? Do me better in the next trade. Right? Give me a break in the next trade. That's usually what it is. What GM doesn't survive this season? Wendy, I already know your answer, so I'll start with you. What GM or GMs do not survive this season? April 12th or 13th, right?
Doug Armstrong and New Jersey's GM.
Right. What about you? What about you there, Wayne?
Tom Fitzgerald in New Jersey has got to be definitely one of them. You can't get rid of the guy in Ottawa. They just gave him the job this year. I mean, maybe the Columbus Blue Jackets. What's his name? Karkalainen.
Kekalainen was expired like 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
so they don't even have a GM.
Yeah, I mean, and probably not San Jose Mike Greer just yet, only because this was just his second year.
What about you, Lance? Still with me, Lance? Ah, he's muted. Hey, Lance, you're muted.
He's muted.
Yeah, he might have walked away. Yeah. So, for me, I think it's Armstrong, and I hate to admit it because I don't think he's done a bad job. I just think it's time, right? I just think it's time, and if you're going to bring in a new coach, if Bannister's not getting the job, it makes sense to bring in a new GM and let him hire the coach.
Yeah, and they all start over together.
Right? Yeah. The Blues re-signing Sundqvist yesterday left me scratching my head. It was a fan move, and that's the problem I have with it because it makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense. You double a guy's salary, and I don't see him being part of a rebuild. I don't. How is he part of your retool? Right? I mean, he doesn't do that much on the ice. He's not a goal scorer. He's a fourth line guy, and he plays on the second power play, but it doesn't feel like he helps on the power play. So that signing did nothing for me. In fact, it made me scratch my head more than anything else. Right? Mm-hmm. And I know there's people out there. Now look, I do not put the Blues' current situation on the GM as much as everybody else does. Right? And I've said this in the past. There were some huge red flags that Berube and this team did not get along. And I mean huge red flags. And I think there are 3 or 4 players for sure screwed the team over something fierce. Absolutely fiercely screwed the team over. And our media, the Blues media, is overtly negative. Overtly negative. There's one media member, I will not mention his name. Every Blues goal that they give up is because the Blues made a mistake. It's never because the other team did something right. The other player made a good move or something like that. It's because the Blues player made a mistake. Lance, are you back with us? Are you back with us, Lance?
Yeah, I'm back.
What GM do you think isn't a GM next season?
I don't know. Because there's a couple of them that I think probably deserve it, but probably won't get it. I think Buffalo. I know Buffalo had a lot of injuries, and maybe Ottawa, but I don't know. In Ottawa, he gets along really well with the new ownership group, so I don't know. I really don't have a guy that just jumps out at me.
Well, because the guy in Ottawa, Lance, he just got the job this year.
I know.
He just got the job like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
I thought he'd been there a year already. Maybe I'm just not thinking correctly.
No, he came in with the new owner.
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. For me, and I've said this before, and I'll repeat it. There are 3 players that, first of all, I heard something, and I had it backed up by a couple different people, that something was said during the bubble, and when it was said is when this team, the team and the head coach went opposite directions. Right? Not going to say what was said or any of that, but you see the trend. That bubble game they played against Chicago, nobody was interested in playing that game. And then when they get into that, they get into the round robin. They had that game against Colorado where they lose the game in with which should have gone to overtime with what was there, a tenth of a second left on the clock, and I forget who it was that scored that. But with like a tenth of a second left on the clock, they scored, and everything went downhill from there. There are 3 players that I think absolutely screwed the Blues over. Player number 1 is Alex Pietrangelo. Alex Pietrangelo could have been traded. He didn't want to get traded. He told the Blues that he had every intention of re-signing when he didn't. And then he came out and said, I want the no movement clause, and I'm not backing off of that. And that right there was enough, and it should have been. And I think I honestly think the Blues moved on at that point, but they waited too long when too many defensemen came off the board before they went, because, again, Pietrangelo kept saying he would, trying to deal with them when he wasn't coming off the no movement clause.
Let me ask you something, Guy.
Yeah.
Was that the only reason that they didn't get the deal done with Pietrangelo? Was because of the no movement clause? And why do you think they didn't give it to him?
No. Well, first of all, they did offer him a modified no movement clause.
Okay.
For like 3 or 4 years for part of the deal, not the whole deal. Pietrangelo didn't come off the no movement clause because Pietrangelo's wife, who is from St. Louis, was tired of living in St. Louis.
Okay. All right. Understood.
And that had a lot to do with it. At that point, they had 2-year-old triplets, and she was pregnant with their 4th kid. He did not want to get traded in that situation. So to keep him from getting traded, or that, to keep him, because I don't think he had a no trade clause, but it was it wasn't a full. I think he had a modified at that point.
Okay.
Right. And he kept telling them that his intention was to re-sign.
Well, I remember that.
It was they were going to be able to work a deal, but then he throws in the no movement clause, and that just messed everything up. We haven't missed any trades, have we, Wendy? You're keeping an eye on for me, right?
Yeah, there hasn't been any more trades, but I do have to let you know I have to hop off the stream here.
Okay, no problem, man. Anything I'll be on for a while, so if you want to come back, you're more than welcome.
Wendy,
right, take care.
Have a great day.
Have a good one.
See you later.
All right, take care,
Talk
guys.
to you later.
Yep.
All right. Since you're blacked out, I'm going to drop you down there, Lance. That's player number 1. Player number 2 was Schwartz, and this is like the thing that I blast Armstrong for. Armstrong should have absolutely, positively went to the league and say, hold the phone. Something here stinks. And it absolutely stunk. And Schwartz, the Kraken were allowed to talk to free agents a day before the expansion draft. And if they signed that free agent would count towards the draft. that would be their player from that team, right? They don't sign anybody. They do the draft. They draft done. The next day is free agent, and within 15 minutes of free agency open, they turn that contract in. Dude, that contract was done before, and was all that was left was the signature, and and the impropriety there was there, and absolutely the Blues should have gone to the league and bitched and pissed a fit and asked for an arbiter.
And you're probably right about that.
Right? Now, I want to do I think Schwartz orchestrated this? No, I don't. I think the Kraken did, but he went along with it. That's why.
Well, yeah, it takes two to tangle.
Yeah, that's why I put it on him. Right? Lance, are you with me on that, or you still there?
I don't think it would have gotten anywhere, and I think Armstrong knew it.
I still would have done it. I still would have done it because you know what? If you do it, it shows that. I mean, it shows your fan base what happens. It really did, and it would have taken because a lot of people blame him for not signing Schwartz, and Schwartz wasn't staying here. Schwartz was not staying here. He had said that. They didn't even negotiate with him. They didn't even negotiate.
The only problem with that, I think, Guy,
Yeah,
is when you start throwing accusations around like that, whether it, albeit may be true, now you're dealing with these other GMs, and sometimes other GMs may back away from a move that they might want to make with you, because they're saying that whatever they may say, hey, the guy's a whiner, this guy, hey, But I agree with you, though. I'm not trying to disagree with you. I would say something just to let your fan base, to let your team know we're not going to be pushed around like this, even if we think we're being pushed.
If you file a
complaint,
and I can't think of what it's called,
a complaint for tampering,
a complaint or what is it when you appeal a game, when you protest. If you file a protest, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
If you file a protest, whether or not that protest, whatever happens, the best thing that's going to happen is an arbiter is going to look at it.
Okay.
And that's the thing. I let an arbiter look at it because the impropriety was there and it was ignored. And that, to me, looks worse I would rather have other GMs be pissed at me a little bit than have my organization or have me look like I let it happen.
Yeah, there
needs to be a stand-up there, right? Peaky to ball. Yeah, we talked about that, bud. The last one here, and that I think, and then this one I get a lot of hate for. The last one for me, the third player of the Stanley Cup that screwed the Blues over was Perron. Perron was not going to resign in St. Louis, and he made it look like the Blues let him go when that's not what happened. Right? The Blues, because I remember the press conference. Doug Armstrong sitting right next to David Perron, going 2 years, $4 million. That's what we can offer. And his guys never accept, and then he gets asked a point blank question. Did you get offered a contract? Yes or no question. Right?
He lied. And
he said, not formally. Well, not formally? Everyone took his, they never offered him a contract. No. That's not what he said. They told him what they could pay him. He didn't want to accept it, and he never came back to him he never talked to him about something else. And then he only got $750,000 a year more for 2 years with Detroit. He didn't get that big of a deal more.
No, because that only turns it, what, 2 years? That'd be $1.5 million more that he got.
Yeah, that's what he got. Right? He's actually less than that. I think he signed for
4.5. He signed for 4.5.
4.5 or 4.75.
It was 4.5.
4.75 for 2 years. Right? It was not a huge jump. Right? And for me, that all of that, you look at those three situations now, you individually, not a big deal. Problem is, all three of those players at one point or another,
Well, they were a big part of your team.
at one point or another said, man, we love this team, we love this town, the fan base, we want to play here for a long period of time. And then all of a sudden that shifts. There's a shift in that. And each one of those players had really, really good PR firms because they all got it off them and put it on the team. And they put it on Doug Armstrong.
Money's the root of all evil.
Say again?
Money is the root of all evil,
But here's the thing. In this case, it's not money per se. It's not money because two of the three players basically did not get more when they left. I mean, Perron got a little more, but not enough for you to go, that's money for me to move. That's not enough. It's enough for me to say that money's the issue. Pietrangelo really wasn't money because he ended up getting less term, less money, right? Perron got paid, but we lost another player to go with it. So, it's not the money there. Berube lost the locker room after the bubble. They brought in, and here's the other thing. They bring in two coaching assistants, or coaching consultants. One, Hitchcock, and the other, Montgomery. Montgomery's a quote-unquote assistant coach. At first, when they bring Montgomery in, he's a coaching consultant, and then they bring him in as as an assistant coach. When they brought him in as an assistant coach, he created a huge buffer between Berube and the team.
Guy?
Yeah.
Matt Dumba to the Lightning. To be determined who they're going to get in return.
Oh, I don't know, man. That's picks. I think it's just picks.
Yeah,
Dumba's with the Wild, right? Isn't Dumba with the Wild?
No, well, he was playing in Arizona this year, but that's another expiring contract, so that's another rental.
Yeah.
And they definitely need help there because ever since Sergachev has gone down, that is Sergachev has gone down and their defense has been hurt badly.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not disagreeing with you there.
So we're 20 minutes away from.
Yeah, right about 20 minutes away.
21 minutes away, which means we'll get the last bit of moves probably in an hour from now, maybe a little over an hour from now.
You'll get those moves within 30 minutes. You'll get them announced within 30 minutes. VADR, check your Twitter mailbox. Be honest, I'm looking at today's moves, right? And none of them are earth-shattering. Do you feel that way, or am I an idiot? right?
I mean, again, we spoke about some of this earlier. Look at the Gunsel move and the Kuznetsov move. Solid.
Yeah.
Colorado with their moves.
Yeah. But I
Very
mean,
solid.
today, the only move that may be Kuznetsov to the Hurricanes, that's not a bad, but that move's not a hockey move, right? To be, in all honesty, that's not a hockey move.
Well, the best move, if you're just going by today,
yeah, today.
Best move today has got to be the Jets getting Toffoli.
Was that today or yesterday?
That was today.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was a good one. Why couldn't they have done that yesterday before he played us? But Toffoli didn't do much against us, so, right? you like that one, huh?
That's good, yeah. You know, and I still follow the Jets just because, I mean, that's where I was born, up in Winnipeg.
Yeah.
It's a good hockey town. We moved to the States when I was 14.
Yeah.
And it's fun to watch them. And this year they're a very good club. Like, I would say I could see them in the Western Finals against an Edmonton or maybe here's the dark horse team, and they've done absolutely nothing. But the Kings are sneaky good.
Who?
The Kings.
The King. I think the Kings are.
They're just starting to figure it all out with all the.
Yeah, but I don't think the coaching change. The coaching change came too late.
Yeah, they should have made it earlier. There's no question.
There's another. You know who I see him going up against?
I
see him going up against Vancouver.
Yeah, Vancouver's right there. There's no question.
Right.
Talkett's done a fantastic job there this year.
Lightning acquired Dumba. I wonder what they get for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. That's
and again, and then you see that's where the West is so crazy because you got the Knights. Hey, and good for them with the LTIR that they can make all those moves, but getting Hannafin and getting Mantha. The West is going to be so insane come playoff time.
Yeah. You have to be on video, bud. I'm not first time on my show. You have to be on video, right? Just so you know. If you can't, I apologize. Okay. So I want to welcome Nixon to the show. Nixon has been following me for a couple of years, and he's wanted to come on the show. Unfortunately, he was underage, and I had to be very careful with that. Nixon, we talked about it, right? And I was very upfront, didn't hide it. You're 18 now. You're able to come on. Welcome to the show. How you doing, bud?
I'm pretty good.
All right. So what are your thoughts on trade deadline day so far?
It's been pretty dead today, honestly. I'd say most of the big names and big trades have gone on a little earlier in the week. So,
right. Are you surprised that Buchnevich hasn't moved?
No, I honestly am not. But because with the asking price, I don't think much teams really want to budge at it. Although I think the asking price is pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I actually think it's a little low, right? And especially when you want the Blues to retain salary because that hampers them for another year.
Yeah, for
right.
Sure.
And if you want me to retain salary and hamper me for a year, I better get a huge return. And I compare almost every trade that we do to the O'Reilly trade because I think the Blues overpaid for O'Reilly. But if that's what you can get for O'Reilly, that's what you had to pay for O'Reilly. Then when you're trading a player that's of O'Reilly's caliber or better, you should get more than that, or at least that.
Yeah,
that's how I look at it. I might be wrong, but that's how I look at it.
Yeah. And I've seen people saying that, or like other Penguins fans, like me, not me, but yeah, I've seen other Penguins fans saying we didn't get enough for Gensel. But like my, I guess, comeback to that is, well, research the prospects we got in return. Vasily Ponomarev, good, gonna be middle six center probably.
Yeah.
And then that one Finnish dude, he's probably gonna be top 6 forward as well.
Yeah. No. I mean, the Gunsel trade was. I mean, that's the big one. That's been the biggest one so far, I think.
No doubt.
What was the other one? There was another big one earlier before the trade deadline. I forget who it was. The Stars trade, right?
Chris Tanev.
Yeah. Right. Tanev to the Stars from the Flames and the Devils was a pretty big one.
Yeah.
I'm thinking there was one more, but I can't pull it out of my head right now.
Think about this for a minute, Guy.
Yeah.
The Flames are trading everybody out of town. They just keep getting pick after pick and a few prospects. And all of a sudden they're in it. Like, what are they, 4 points off the playoff? Or
something
6
like
points
that.
They just keep winning. They're getting rid of all this stuff and they keep winning.
Yeah. It's a well-coached team right there.
Say again?
It's a well-coached team right there for sure.
Yeah.
And Conroy in his first year at the helm is doing a heck of a job.
Yeah,
for sure.
To me, sometimes the best move that a team can make is no move at all.
I knew you were going to say that.
Right? Am I wrong?
No, sometimes it works out for you.
Right?
I mean, look, there's a lot of teams standing pat today.
I think of, you go back to 2019 with the Blues, and I know, everybody, the Blues, there they are with the 2019. That trade deadline, the Blues had played themselves into playoff contention, and everybody thought the Blues were going to sell because they were in playoff contention, but they're not a playoff contender, and Doug Armstrong doesn't make a move, and it signals to the team, you're the team we're going to win with, and they were within a point of winning the division.
Well, think about it. At that time of the deadline there, the snowball was about that big.
Yeah.
And it was just starting to roll downhill. It was getting a little bit bigger. And by the end of the year,
yeah.
And it had firecrackers flying off the end of it by the end of the year.
They had their 11 win streak, their franchise record win streak. And then I think they went on another like 6 or 7 game win streak after that. And that was the trade deadline was during that period of that win streak. 11 minutes to go. I don't know if a big guy gets traded now. I don't think so. And
2 goaltenders just got traded for each other.
Who?
2 backups. Florida gets Hellberg from the Penguins for Weber. 2 goaltenders backup guys. That's just a minor move, but that just got
made.
That's not going to do nothing for this year's playoffs. I mean, I think what Florida did there was, in case one of their goaltenders that they have now gets hurt, they'll have a decent backup in Hellberg because he can play at the NHL level.
Don't they still have Spencer Knight though in their minor league?
Yeah, they still got the kid Spencer, but ever since he had that problem with the substance abuse, he was supposed to be the next big thing for goaltenders. Yeah. And he has just fallen right off a cliff since then.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear much about him. You don't hear him, them talking about him at all at any level.
Yeah.
I thought the mistake they made, to be quite honest with you, I thought the mistake that they made was they also had a goaltender who's now with Buffalo, that Devon Levi.
Yeah.
I still believe he was a better goaltender than Spencer Knight. Just Spencer Knight got all the hoopla put around him. And I guess time will tell if really either of them do anything at the NHL level.
Yeah. No, the goaltender we haven't seen any really, really high end goaltender prospects for a while, right? The only one that I can think of, and he hasn't come to fruition yet, is Askarov, right?
Askarov. Well, now he's tearing it up. He is tearing it up in the AHL. You know, there was talk just a couple weeks ago. Were they going to move Saros at the deadline because this kid Askarov is ready, and he is ready right now. He's having a big year.
Saros has got another year on his contract, though, right?
I do believe he has one more year. I think he has 1 year term still. Yeah.
Well, if it might be more than that, because if he only had 1 year term, I'd be letting him go.
You know,
he only has 1 year next year.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
And we got a quick trade. Jack Roslovic to the Rangers and a 6th-round pick to the Blue Jackets.
All right. Roslovic's a good little center.
Yeah, it's a good deal. Columbus got fleeced.
Right. Hey, Nixon, what do you think the salary cap's going to do next year? What's your thought process on that?
I think it'll go up to about 85, 86 probably.
So you're thinking $3 million?
Yeah, I think it'll go up a little bit more than last year for sure.
I'm still in the 4 to 5 million camp, and I think that has a lot to do with today's trade deadline. I think that's got a lot to do with it. What the cap's going to do next year. A lot of what I hear a lot of, and yeah, you're right. Saros has 1 more year left at $5 million.
But he's not going to be the starter there next year. I mean, if it doesn't look like he's going to get moved today, but all that means is more than likely he's going to get traded over the summer. They're all in on this.
My issue with that, or with him being traded, is his GM. He's got a very inexperienced GM.
Right.
Barry Trotz, great coach, inexperienced GM.
Yeah.
And that might prevent him from being traded. Right?
No.
Does that make sense?
It kind of makes sense because, look, he doesn't want to be the one that, I mean, look at the job that David Poyle did there for all those years. He doesn't want to be the guy that tears the team down.
Yeah.
But again, like Lance was saying earlier, and everybody does it in every sport. They keep all their superstars or their really good players well past the time where they need to ship them out of town.
There's no way if I was a GM or if I was and I got offered that job in Nashville that I take that job, because there's no way you can take that job and do as good as your predecessor.
The only way you can is to win a Stanley Cup.
And you know what? Even that, you may not, because everyone's going to go that your predecessor, all you did was take the players that he had.
Well, sure. Right now, that's what they would say. No doubt.
Yeah.
Right now, that's what they're saying.
Right? That was such a rarity that you have a GM go that long and not get fired and retire.
Sure.
Walk away on his terms, and then you come into that job with a team that's not in a bad shape, yet you may have to A, tear it down, or B, figure out how to make it better without tearing it down. And that might not be an option. And
I mean, think about it.
I think Trot taking that job, the fact that they got a guy that had never been a GM before, and I don't think Trot had been a GM before.
No, he was just
Trot's had been a GM before. I think that Trotz is the only guy that would getting a coach to be going into the GM role is the only guy you were going to get. Because any experienced GM isn't taking that job. Or am I a complete fucking idiot here? Pardon the language. What do you think, Nixon? I see you smirking over there.
Are you talking like inexperience or like coaches going to GMs or?
Well, you look at that GM job in and of itself was not. You take that job, and it's a lose-lose. It's a lose-lose for any experienced GM. And Trotz has an unenviable position of trying to build a team up without tearing it down, because if he tears it down, it's all his fault. Right? Yeah. Everything gets put on him. And I just find that, and that's when you look at Soros. Trading Soros makes especially if Ashcroft is ready. If Ashcroft is ready, trading Soros with that money, what you could get for that, especially a goaltender at his level, what you could get is a no-brainer. But he's got to go back and look, man, if I trade this guy and this fails, I'm done. One trade, and I'm done. Right? So that's what I'm talking about, where that inexperience is going to keep him from trading him. That's why I think it's just an unenviable position, and I wasn't sure. David AC asked, what's the biggest or most surprising news of the day? I don't know if there has been any other than maybe the Toffoli trade. The Jets getting Toffoli, that helped them, big time helped them. Right? Other than that, I didn't think it would be a quiet day, but I didn't think it would be a big. In fact, I wanted to throw this at you, Wayne. Remember on Monday, you came on my show on Monday, and you had said that you thought the trades were going to happen starting Thursday, and I came back and said, I think Wednesday. Huh?
You said.
I said Wednesday, and sorry, I guess I got to do a little bit of this on you. I nailed that, didn't I?
Hey, that's okay though, because listen, I mean, me in general, I just love the game of hockey. First,
I got you.
Love the game. People, it's too bad that it's more of a regional sport than it is a national sport.
I agree with that.
If people actually watch the game, I mean, really, they need just go to a game.
Yeah.
Like this Saturday where I live just outside of Birmingham. So what I got the lowest form of professional hockey.
Yeah.
The SPHL, the Southern Professional Hockey League. I mean, literally, these guys have jobs during the week. But you just go to a live hockey game. I'm going Saturday night again.
Yeah.
Hockey live is the best sport in the world. I'm a big football fan as well, but to me, if it's Game 7 of the Stanley Cup or the Super Bowl, I'm turning on Game 7, brother.
Yeah, Game 7s are something to is this Bro Bram trade, is that new or is that old? And I'm just missing
Which one?
Bo Bram to the Sabres?
Well,
Colin
Hurdle just went to the Knights. Thomas Hurdle just got traded to the Knights.
Hurdle to the Knights? Oh, I think that's a good
now
trade.
See, look at they're going nuts.
Big
Colin Miller just went to the Jets.
Who did?
Colin Miller, defenseman.
Okay.
From Jersey.
So now we're at 45 seconds to the deadline. Now you're getting all these trades coming in.
Yeah, I'm at 1:05 according to my screen.
I'm looking at they've got 34 seconds according to NHL Tonight.
Nice.
So
you're a little ahead of me then.
So that basically means that, well, for the most part,
we got to count it down then. Got to count it down, guy. When it gets to 10, when it gets to 10, let's count it down.
I'm not there yet. I'm getting there.
34 seconds.
Oh man, I'm ahead of you guys. I'm at 10,
you're ahead.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you aren't on the phone, it's over.
Right. If you weren't on the phone, it's all over but the crime.
That's not there could be a deal that has been turned into the league office. They can actually call the league office and say, we're close to a deal here. And the league office will actually say, okay. And then they turn. Yeah, you might hear something up to 210 or 215, but if you don't hear anything after that,
they will give them a clock. They'll put them on a clock.
Yep.
Right. They'll put them on a clock. They've got to, but the league's phone had to ring before that hit 0.
Yeah.
Right.
If the
Hey,
lead
the hurdle
phone
thing.
did not
Listen,
ring before that hit 0, that's it. Now, here's the interesting thing about the trade deadline. It's not actually a trade deadline. What it is at this point, no other player can be brought in and put on your roster. Right? There are still trades that happen, but that player goes to the minor leagues and can be in the minor leagues, but cannot come on your, and you'll see it happen all the time.
understood.
Right? Does that make, do you guys understand what I'm talking about there?
Yeah.
Right? You'll see some trades, and the minor league does have a trade deadline, but it's not as hard as the NHL's. What did St. Louis do? Like I said, just coming in, they made a very minor league trail.
Come on, it was the Hughes guy.
Malcolm Subban, who is a journeyman AHL goalie, was traded to Columbus for future considerations. So, adios, amigo. Don't let the door hit you in the rear out. That was.
That's PK's brother.
Hurdle to Vegas. Yeah.
Vegas has done very well.
First-round picks.
What was that for? I'm seeing it now. See, that might be San Jose really committing to their rebuild, because I don't think they were committed to it. I don't think they were. They knew they had to rebuild, but they just haven't figured out how to rebuild. And I think that's part of that commitment to, okay, we're bringing these draft picks in and we're going to rebuild through the draft, right? Because I think that they thought they might be able to rebuild through free agency, but that actually hasn't happened.
Yeah, very few teams ever get it right that way. I mean, if you need a couple players, that's one thing, but to try and build your whole roster, off of the free agent wire, you're not going to get that done most of the time.
The thing is, to get the guys that you need to do it, you just, with the salary cap, you just can't.
That too.
Yeah, team is intact. The team did not make any. The team we had yesterday is the team we have today, right? Because Subban was never getting called up to the Blues. If there was an injury to Bennington or Hofer, Zerzinko or Ellis would have gotten called up. Subban would not have been the call-up.
You would have had to have massive chaos going on before he got called up.
Yeah. Scandella's still here. Nobody wanted him. Right? Now what's going to scare me is Scandella gets a contract extension. Right? You couldn't trade him. So what do? You give him a contract extension. I hope not. I mean, look, it's not that I don't like Scandella. I like Scandella. I just think that we have enough defensive prospects. I mean, you got Kessel in the minor leagues, and he doesn't belong there, in my eyes. Right? I think Lance disagrees with me. But you have Tucker, who, if you put on waivers, will get snapped up, so you can't put him on waivers. And then I want to say you've got, who else? You got one other player in the minors, defensive in the minors, that I think I'm on the wrong team here.
Kylie Roseman, or?
No, not maybe Loof.
I mean, you got a couple players, Guy, don't you? A couple youngsters that are they're like NHL ready down there, aren't they?
Not offensive, yes. Defense, no.
Right.
You got Kessel. I've heard some good things out of Bushinger, but Butchinger, Butchinger, I think that's how you say it. You got Leo Loof, who's 21. We've got him for a couple more years. I think he's really close. And then you got a couple other, Marc-Andre Gaudet. There's been some chatter about him, really, really settling in. I'm looking at it. Rosen's 30. You're not re-signing Rosen.
Right.
Rosen's not getting re-signed to the Blues or the Springfield. But you look on offense, and this is why I'm higher built. I have a higher feeling for the Blues than most people do. You go down there and you look at some of the ages of these guys and who they are and what I think that they could bring, right? You have, and I'll just go, Dvorsky. He's a year away. He's 18 next year, maybe not next year, but year after. Zach Dean, 21. I think he's ready.
Rude.
Gaudette is who he is. He's not coming up. McGing. I think McGing at 25 might be ready. You have Will Bitton at 25 that I think is ready. Who was the other one you were saying there, bud?
Jimmy Snuggerud.
Who?
Jimmy Snuggerud.
Oh, Snuggerud, yeah. And well, he's in college right now. He's not signed to a contract.
Yeah.
But you're going to see him get signed. You're going to see him get signed as soon as his college season over.
Yeah,
I think that's why I think for the Blues, I look at some of these younger guys, and I know you can't. Some of them hit, some of them miss, and I get that. But you got enough guys that are 5-star prospects, that are high-end prospects in free agency, and we'll have about 7 to 8 million in free agency. I think you find that power play one-timer. And I think that one thing right there is 5 to 10 wins for the Blues this season. You have
Guy, is it possible, Guy, that come the end of this, collegiate season, that Snuggerud will sign his ELC?
And then absolutely.
Come up and
absolutely.
Play a few games?
Yeah. He's a junior. He's out. Right? Is he a junior or a sophomore?
Play a little bit at the end of the year with the Blues?
Oh yeah. It's already been stated. Been stated.
That'll be good. That'll be good for Blues fans. Because you got some young guys there that are fairly talented. Like I said, my son is a big fan of the Blues.
Yeah.
And that's why I watch them. But obviously, I don't know as much about them as you do.
Yeah.
But it's always good when you get that influx of youth with a hockey club.
All right.
For the fan base.
Yeah. No, Butchie said I told everybody when Butchie's play changed, I knew he was safe. When he was playing at this level, when he dropped to this level, and it was right after the rumors came out, and then all of a sudden, after a couple of days, he goes right back up. I knew he was safe right then and there. I knew it, and I said it. I felt like the team went to him and said, "You're good to go. Don't let this bother you. You're not being moved. I know you like it here. We'll deal with contract stuff later." Yeah, and maybe they don't re-sign him. I lost Lance there for a second. Maybe they don't re-sign him, like Lance has said. But I'm looking at, you got to look at, everyone goes, 7 million, 8 million. He's making 5.5 now. So it's not like he's asking for the moon to me. He's not 8, but I could give him 7. I wouldn't have a problem giving him 7, but only for 4 years. I would give him 7 for 4. Maybe 5, but I wouldn't push it beyond 5, right? And if he thinks he can get more elsewhere, that's great. But you have the time to negotiate starting the end of this season. Once the playoffs are over and the league year starts, then you can negotiate, right? And you go. Well,
they can negotiate with him now. He's already under contract.
Nope, 1 year. You can only have 1 year left to sign to an extension. So you have to be in the last year of your contract.
Okay, because he has 1 more year after.
He has 1 more full year,
okay,
yeah. So
correct. Yes.
So they can ask where do you think you're going to be?
Right.
But that's always a high projection, right? If I'm let's say, I can only think of a few players that have ever done this, just taken what the first offer was, right? And in football, there's a really good example of a player saying, you know what, that's enough. Any idea who I'm talking about?
Player who said,
Football player, and I will give his position because it might give it away, but it's quarterback. There's a quarterback out there. When he got offered a contract, he was in what should have been some dicey negotiations. He got offered a contract from the team, and he said, that's enough. I'll take it.
well, Brady was like that for years. I mean, he played for well under what his worth was.
Brady's close, but Brady
and he was the first one to say, redo my contract so we can get more players in here.
Yeah, he did, but there's another one too that took the first contract he got offered.
The one I was thinking, the one I was really thinking though, that I thought you were going to say, and if you would have said RB, yeah, I would have known, because I was thinking it was Barry Sanders. He was another one.
Yeah, he did. I was thinking of, and now his name just the Rams quarterback that won the Super Bowl for St. Louis.
Oh, Stafford.
No, not Stafford.
Oh, Kurt Warner.
Right?
St. Louis,
Kurt Warner could have asked for the moon and had gotten it from anybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he just, Kurt Warner. Yeah. He just, this is enough for, what are they offering? That's more than enough.
I mean, well, if you really think about it, when you're up at that much money, what is 60 or 70 million?
Yeah.
At that point, what is 65 million?
Well, you gotta see, here's the thing. When we hear those numbers, we're seeing those numbers.
Yeah,
Player,
people don't realize
and a player never sees those numbers. They never, ever, 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 ever see those numbers. And a lot of times don't even see close to those numbers. Depending on where they play, you can take half of that off right away.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
And another 10% to the agent.
And a 10%, and not off of the after tax. That's a pre-tax.
Correct.
Pre-tax number. So you're going to see almost 60% of it
is gone
before you ever do anything. And not only that, the way some of those contracts are written, they're back-ended in the NFL. That the back end of that you may never see, yet you're still going to pay taxes on it.
Like, unless you're playing in places like Texas, Florida, that doesn't have the state income tax,
Shane Pinto did not get traded, right?
No, he didn't get traded.
Nope. Joseph, no, he did not.
That's my son. That's my son, the Islander fan there.
Okay.
All right, we have the full return for Hurdle now.
Say again?
You got the full return for Hurdle? What did they give up?
First round pick, 2025, David Edstrom, who's Vegas's first last year.
Okay.
Third round pick, 25, and then a third round pick in 27.
Wow.
Oh, that's a good return.
Sure, that's a real good return for him.
That's a real good
San
return.
Jose is also retaining 17%.
I think that quantifies what I said earlier about the Sharks being full in on how they're going to do their rebuild now. Does what I said now make sense? Right? I'm not totally stupid.
I mean, I'm still liking what the Jets did with the Foley, with Monahan, with the defenseman.
Yeah.
And they were already really good.
Yeah, Jets had a good day.
Jets had a good week. Colorado had a good week.
Colorado had a good
did
week.
very
Jets
well.
had a good week. Dallas had a good week.
Dallas did okay, yep. Some of the teams that did all that.
Linus Solmark was going to be traded to the Kings, but they didn't cross the finish line.
And you're right, Chris. You still pay the state tax.
You should pay the state tax of whatever you play in.
But I mean, some of these places, like go play in New York, go play in Illinois for Chicago. You're getting pounded even worse. Go up to Canada. Oh my gosh, they get taxed on top of the tax and then get taxed again.
So that's why when you look at what a player makes, that's why I don't have a problem with players getting what they can get. I don't.
No, I don't.
Because I understand of how little they're getting.
I mean, look, they're living good lives. They're not They're not drinking powdered powdered milk.
Actually, St. Louis City has a city tax, but they exempt players. They exempt
Really?
sports. Yes.
Wow.
They do exempt sports. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm pretty sure of that. And that I think it's called the Cardinal exemption.
I mean, but think about it. Even though it's 1%, 1% of how many of the players that play on all those teams in St. Louis, it turns out to be a substantial amount of cash.
It's not. Well, it's and well, you got to look at the way that tax is set. It's per game, right? So a player plays in Major League Baseball 82 games in your home stadium.
Yeah, 81.
Right? 81. So you're taxed for those 81 games. The other 81 games, you are taxed based on the stadium that you play in.
Sure.
So they have a really complicated and convoluted tax structure.
Right. I know.
On top of the national tax.
Yeah, because like my company goes, I work in 5 different states.
Yeah.
So I understand that, you got to pay the municipalities you're in.
Yeah.
The state, whatever. Sure.
I work for a company where I got exempted from that because I was a field service guy. Field service guys can get an exemption from that.
Understood.
Right?
Okay.
So if you do field service, you should look into that field service exemption.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, my wife's an accountant, so
yeah.
So, I let her handle all the business, all the cash,
Right.
So.
When I worked in, because I worked in Colorado, I worked in California, I worked in Nevada, but all of my stuff came out of Hawaii.
Understood.
Even though I was based in Hawaii, but my central was California.
Okay.
Because of my base and because that anything that I went was because I was sent out of Hawaii, so I just dealt with Hawaii. Right. So
here's a trade that just came in.
What do you got?
I got Connor DeWare, center, going to Toronto. That's not a big deal. From the Wild to BD, So that's still to be determined there.
Oh, I guess they don't have the. They don't have the players exemption. I thought they did. I know some cities will do a players exemption.
Still, that's $1.5 million that they got.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right. And that's not what they got from players that came in and visited. They probably got another 1.5.
Sure. Well, yeah, you got to figure all that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a lot.
There's a lot
that goes into it. Managing money. What's my allowance this week?
You ain't lying. Hey, listen. I make jokes of it all the time. I go, I own the company.
Yeah.
But honey, how much money can I get today?
Yeah. well, you heard that? I seen a joke out there on Twitter. OSHA comes in and the taxman comes in and says, "We hear that you're not paying your to the fishermen," and we goes, "Ears, we're not paying your deckhand enough, and how much you pay your deckhand?" And he tells him, and then goes, "Well, what about your other guy?" And he gives off all this stuff, and they go, "Well, we want to talk to that guy," and he goes, "You are talking to him," right? Yeah, it was. I can't tell the whole joke, but right. What do you got for us, bud? Nixon, you got something? You look like you wanted to say something there.
No, I'm just agreeing with. I'm agreeing with.
Oh, okay.
That's like why I'm.
Where are you at? Where are you from? I can't completely remember.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Omaha, okay.
Omaha,
and I forgot
Nebraska.
who your team is.
Huh?
Who's your team?
The Penguins fan.
Oh, Penguins. Okay. I couldn't see it. For me, it was cut off, right?
Yeah.
So
I also got the shadow kind of blocking the logo too.
Yeah,
on accident,
yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I caught a look of it a little earlier. Yeah. That's the only reason I knew.
Yeah, no. Me and Nixon have talked for a while. When I first got really heavy into doing this, Nixon had jumped on, but at the time, the age thing concerned me.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess you understand that, right? I think you
for
did.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And then I was heavy on YouTube at that point, and on YouTube they were cracking down on people using kids in videos and things, and I just didn't want to take that chance.
Absolutely. Anybody
Right.
with sense that can understand that. And he's here now.
Yep.
And hey, it's awesome to have you part of the team.
Yeah. How did you end up a Penguins fan in Nebraska?
So in about 2014, I think I saw my dad watching a game, and he was a Penguins fan.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll be a Penguins fan.
So I gotta ask you that while we're talking about that. I have said that I think Omaha would be a good place for an expansion team. Am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
You don't think so? Why not?
Because if we're judging it off of the teams we already have, like yes, we have a lot of love for Omaha Mavericks, of course, in college.
Yeah.
But I don't think there would be anyone besides Warren Buffett who would be a good owner for the team.
And not just that.
I get that, but what to me that Buffett money, I mean that Buffett money would definitely translate into a high-end stadium. It would translate into a high-end experience. And what I'm basing it off of is your zoo.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Omaha has one of the top 3 zoos in the world.
Yeah, they're right up
or
there
in the U.S., a minimum in the U.S., if not in the world.
Yeah.
And I know that your zoo comes from that Buffett money. So if that Buffett money was put into a major league franchise, a professional franchise, that franchise would definitely bloom very, very quickly.
The problem up there, though, Guy?
Yeah.
Nebraska is always going to be about the Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
I get that, but
they've been bad for so many years. It doesn't matter. They are Cornhuskers through and through.
Yeah,
I can see that. I mean, I can see it.
Ever.
I was looking at it more at a financial.
Lincoln, Nebraska comes to life. Does it not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I've been out there. I did business out there as well. I'm going to tell you. You go to a Cornhusker game. They love their Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
Hey, at least you got somebody hopefully that can turn it around for you in Matt Rule.
I don't know why the Sharks took
Iowa
Clem
fan,
Costin.
so.
That didn't make that trade made no sense to me.
What trade was that, Guy?
The Sharks taking Costin?
Oh yeah, that didn't make sense at all. But
right.
I mean, it's a bad contract for a bad contract, I guess. So there's that.
But you also had, I mean, you also had to give up a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, 7th-round pick.
A 7th-round pick. I mean, you also had to give up a pick that you could package, and Costin is no part of any rebuild.
Yeah,
Costin,
no, absolutely not.
Costin doesn't have work ethic, and that's what it comes down to, and that's what cost him here in St. Louis. The lack of work ethic, and I know that for a fact. The lack of work ethic is why he was traded away for nothing. And then as soon as he gets traded away, he got traded away again shortly after. And then he got traded away again. You know, the guy.
Hey, you said it earlier. It's between the ears.
Yeah. Right.
That, you know, a lot of these guys, they got all the talent in the world in minor hockey. Yeah. They get called up to the big boys, league. You don't survive just on talent in the NHL.
Nope. Well, I mean, there's a prime example of this. There was a kid the Blues had that I looked at when I saw it. I was like, wow, man, how is he not? And I think an injury really, really hurt him, and it changed. Logan Brown has all the talent in the world.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, he's got all the talent in the world. And
He's been out this year.
He spent one really, really solid year out training with and I can't think of it. Who's the St. Louis kid that lives from Arizona? What's his name?
He plays for you guys, and he's from Arizona.
No, he plays on Arizona.
Michelli?
Who?
Michelli?
No. He's from St.
Honestly?
Louis, but he plays on Arizona. He was part of that big draft of all those
Jersey?
Clayton Keller.
Oh, Clayton Keller.
Right? Him and Keller were good friends. He went out and he worked out with Keller and he worked out with Matthews and those. He worked out with all those guys, and it translated because he played so well during the preseason, and then he got injured in the preseason, and he just fell off, and he didn't. It's like just in his eyes. I don't know it's for a fact, but why would I do all that work just to get injured and not go anywhere?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, they played youth hockey together. But I think that all that talent with no work ethic. Wayne Gretzky has a video out. He did a sit down interview, and I think it was with I can't think of his name. Who's the guy from Fox that does baseball and football? Their main guy.
Burkhart?
No, their main guy, like
Play-by-play.
Bob Costas.
Oh, NBC. That's NBC.
Okay,
yeah.
NBC. Sorry, but Bob Costas. He sat down and he said, "I used to get asked by parents all the time, how much did you practice? How much did you practice?" And his answer was stunning. Have you heard this interview? You know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
No.
How much do you think Wayne Gretzky practiced?
Well, I know for a fact he didn't practice a lot.
He said, well, he said, I never had to practice because I loved the game so much. I just went out and played.
Just went out and played.
Played. I just played. I wanted to play. I would play, until the lights turned off. I just wanted to be out there. I wanted to be out there.
His dad built him a rink in his backyard in Brantford, Ontario.
Yeah. So when you have that level of work ethic, and that's what it is, it was never practiced to him because he loved doing it. And that's what the work, you got to have that work ethic. You got to go out there and put the work in. And that's the thing. You get somebody, Costin is one of those guys that doesn't put the work in. So I don't understand why you would bring him into a rebuild. There's no way he re-signed him. No way. If that GM re-signs him, gives him an extension, he's gone. That's like a fireable offense in my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, his contract runs through next season, I believe.
Oh, it does? Well, see, that right there makes even less sense.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, that just tells you he's just there for the year, next year. So.
All right. So, yeah, I don't get it. Guys, I think I'm done. Right. I was hoping, Wayne, I know you said we'd go an hour after, but
whatever, you're fine. Heck, I understand.
I don't see anything else really coming in right now.
Neither do I.
And I don't see anything being like life changing or, oh my God, we got to come on and talk about that. Right. The teams that we're going to do, the teams did it. That the earth-shattering trades happen Wednesday and Thursday, like I said they would. Sorry, I got to throw that in there, Wayne.
No, you're good.
But it was a good show. We had a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of fun. Nixon, thanks for joining us.
How some of these teams, you break it down, how some of these teams are going to break down now.
Yeah.
With all the moves that they made and where we're going to go in this last just under of a quarter of a season.
Next week is where you really got to look at it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Nixon kind of jumped off. I wanted to tell him he's now he's welcome on the show anytime. He just got to let me know. So hope you heard that, Nixon. But yeah, man, I'm done for the day.
Absolutely.
I want to get some breathe and let my mind rest. So, hey, man, thanks for coming on.
Always.
No problem. Thanks
having
for
me,
joining us. Thank you to Chris Shockley, Sister JJ, Jenny McMillan, Justina, Matt Park, Aaron, Ryan Green, Stanley Morrow, Chris Shockley, and Jason Nichols. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We talked about as much as we could. I hope we were entertaining, and we'll see you on Saturday as the Blues take on the Rangers. Might even get a Shaggy sighting on Saturday. So have a good one, Wayne. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
Boys, what do you say?
To all you Blues fans, we're bleeding blue with you. Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues! Let's go Blues!